little something to eat. Are you in Hebrews 10? Hebrews 10. And I want you to notice in verse 30, for we know him that has said, vengeance belongeth unto me. Is that good? I will recompense, saith who? The Lord. And again, the Lord will judge who? His people. His people. Then the writer says in verse 31, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. That's for somebody.
Yes.
Vengeance belongeth unto who? Unto me, unto the Lord. I will, is that what the word says? Do what in verse 30? Recompense. Is that right? I'm going to repay. I'm the God of payback. I pay back. Pay. And if it is someone who has done something to you or me, God said, vengeance does not belong to us, does it? No.
No.
He said, vengeance belongs to who? Me. And somebody ought to be praising God right now. God has every receipt. God has every record. I said, somebody ought to be praising God. I said, somebody ought to be praising God. I said, I have every receipt. I have every record. I have every transaction. Somebody ought to be blessing God.
Thank you, Lord.
He says, look at verse 30. Right? The writer of Hebrews says, right? For we what? Know him. Yeah, that have what? Said. Is that what the writer says? Yeah. He's going to get to what we know about him. But he says first, we what? Know him. All right. This is big because the writer wants us to understand that when it comes to the Lord, Jesus, the writer is talking to an audience. And to his audience, he says, me, you, we know him. We have experiential knowledge. He is tried, tested, proven, reliable, and we what? Know him. And look what the writer says. He says, vengeance belongeth unto me. Belongeth, right? That's italicized to let us know that's added by the translators. It works when you look at the verse in the original language and you look at the etymology of the word and the structure of the sentence here as it is rendered literally. That is fine to insert belongeth. Retribution, y'all there? Vengeance, punishment, retribution belongs unto me. And the writer is clear when he says vengeance, retribution, punishment. All right, and here's the crazy part. This vengeance, this retribution, punishment, vengeance, retribution, punishment, it extends from the inner life of the individual who is meeting it, who is executing it, so that when vengeance is coming from the Lord, it's based on his standards.
Amen.
It's based on his laws.
Right.
It's based on his principles.
Yes.
So here's why we ought to really start praising God, because I want you to understand that God is obligated to himself.
Amen. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hear me. If you are a child of God, he is obligated to himself
Hallelujah.
to bring retribution, punishment that never veers away from his inner life and the standards, laws, and principles from which he works.
Amen.
So when God is executing vengeance, right? Here's why we're praising God. We are his children.
Yes, we are.
He is our Father. So I'm giving God praise this morning that there is no transaction that he is not aware of. There is no agreement. Someone promised you something. Someone committed to do something and did not come through, or someone has made the mistake of harming you or hurting you, or come on, they've done you wrong, and God says, lay down your sword, lay down your weapon, get your mouth off them. Because he has every transaction, he has every receipt. They didn't hear what I just said. And so vengeance does not belong to you and me. All right, because here's the problem. If you and I exact vengeance on anyone, what we are saying to God is he can now exact it on us. Because the issue is not who did you wrong. The issue is who have you done wrong. And if you want to take matters into your own hands for something that has happened to you, then by law and principle, you are authorizing God to allow somebody else to take matters into their own hands. And that works well if we're perfect. That works well if we've never done somebody wrong. But the last time I checked, the Bible says all have sinned. All have come short of the glory of God. And so somebody is lifting up some kind of praise because I don't have to handle anybody. You don't have to go looking for anybody. You don't need to exact vengeance, punishment, retribution on anybody, because God says, I have a record of every receipt, every transaction. And when I mete out punishment, when I mete out retribution, it is not according to your standards, your laws, or principles. He says that I am holy. I am righteous. I am love. I am mercy. And so when God moves to deal with something, all of his divine attributes must combine to satisfy his ultimate name. That he is not only just but the justifier. That he is not just judge, but he is the one who wrote the law. That he will execute in his courtroom. And he is the creator of the defendant. He is the creator of the one wronged, and he must somehow coordinate and combine everything so that when he takes his gavel and he slams his gavel on the bench, he is just and the justifier, and all of heaven, every angel, the other persons of the Trinity, and the redeemed of all ages over all time can say amen. He says what? I got this. Here's what I want you to do. Instead of you trying to get somebody back, understand that if there's any giving, that's my role. You just want to make sure you're not gotten. Don't be out trying to get somebody and get gotten. They ain't gonna tell God thank you. Hallelujah to the Lamb. And somebody is lifting their hands and thanking God because we forgive based on being forgiven. That the whole concept of forgiveness that keeps us from vengeance is that we are seeking what we need. We are providing what we need. We need mercy. I don't have no help here. I said we need pity. We don't need God to give us what we deserve. I don't have no help here. I don't have no help here. They just getting what they deserve. Oh, they are. Well, do you want to get what you deserve? Okay, so we might want to pull that back. We might want to hold on to that before we release that, because we could be enacting a law.
Amen.
Have you noticed that the person who is taking matters into their own hands generally ends up worse off than the person who harmed them? And I just want somebody to give God praise. I just want you to start praising God because you're determined to become better and not bitter. I said you're determined to benefit from whatever it is that the enemy is trying to use to bring you down. God, I give your name praise. I give your name glory. I give your name honor because you're the only reason I didn't go through with what I was thinking about. I said, you're the only reason I didn't execute and carry out what had been looming and lingering in the recesses of my conscience, mind, and soul. And I'm glad this morning that if it weren't for your grace, if it weren't for your mercy, at the end to something where I thought I would be satisfied because I made sure somebody had a rough day. I thought I would be satisfied and better off if I did to somebody what they did to me. And I'm so glad that you came between me and my plan. I don't have a witness.
Hallelujah.
I don't have a witness.
Yes, sir.
And so the writer says we got to work on this vengeance piece. Did I work on vengeance?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and did we work on how it's translated? Belongeth, italicized, added for understanding. Okay, we can keep it. All right, unto me. And then what does the writer say? I will recompense. Is that what the writer says? He says, I'm going to repay. Did I say pay back? That God is going to pay back. That the salary, the check that somebody is about to receive is God's record of every transaction. And it is God taking all the receipts and adding them up. And when they get their paycheck, it is because the God who says vengeance belongs to me has decided that he has reached a point where he is now ready to tally and now repay, pay back somebody for something. Now, if you've not been the recipient of one of those paychecks, you ought to lift your hands and tell God thank you. Hallelujah. Glory to your name. And God, I repent. God, I'm sorry. Because you will cash his check. You will cash his check. When he pays somebody back, you will honor and you will take and you will process the payback.
Amen.
It's not going to be sent to the wrong address. I said it's not going to be returned to sender. I don't have no help in here. And I know you're on your high horse, and I know you track every wrong that's been done to you. But if you have not been on the receiving end of a payback check from God, you need to lift those hands, open your mouth, and go to thanking a good God. God, I want you to know that I cannot take your check and give it to the postman. Come on, somebody. Say, you know what? This isn't that. This got to the wrong address. Did we praise God last Sunday because we arrived when we looked at the Hebrew and the Greek and we looked at the passages from last Sunday from here and when we looked in Samuel, did we draw a conclusion last Sunday that God wins? That God will win? Come on, say it, somebody. He wins. He is never a loser. And it doesn't matter where you go, God will win. He will never be on the losing end. And somebody is saying, Lord, I give you praise because you're a winner. You don't need to win with me. You don't need to win with me because you win every time. Tell your neighbor, God wins. Every fight. You will not knock him onto the canvas. Tell your neighbor, you're not going to knock him out. You're not going to have him up against the ropes. Come on, tell your neighbor, if you're foolish enough to get in the ring with God, you are a guaranteed loser. And I just need to know, is there anybody who's read the story of Jonah? I need to ask you, did he win? On a ship? Going in the other direction, asleep. But I just need to know, did God win? Did Jonah get to Nineveh? Did he get to Nineveh? And did he get there in a hurry? Come on, tell God thank you. I just need to ask with respect to Saul, who would become Paul, is God a winner? Now that's too far back. I just need to know in this room right now, is there anybody who thought you could beat God? Only to discover that he has the only say, the final say, the last say, because he's God. So you might as well surrender now. It doesn't matter how you come, you coming.
Yeah.
I don't have no help here today. And look what the writer says. Look what the writer says. He says, I want y'all to see this now. He says, watch this. He says, I will recompense, saith the Lord, and again the Lord shall judge who?
His people.
Now this is where we get quiet. Right? Because we don't have a problem with God dealing with those who are not his. But tell me what this verse says. Who will he judge?
His people.
He will judge his people. My God. Now this is significant. This is significant. All right, I'm getting to it. All right, because look at what the verse says. The Lord, is it capitalized?
Yes.
Shall, is it capitalized?
Yeah.
Judge his people, is it capitalized? All right. See, if you got a good Bible, that's all capitalized, right? Vengeance is capitalized, right? In my Bible, right? Unto me, belongeth unto me. It's all capitalized, right? See, this is significant. This is significant because this is adding emphasis. All right. The Lord shall judge his people. All right. And this is important now because I want you and me to leave here understanding that God is a decision maker.
Amen.
He decides. Yes, he does. He makes rulings. He issues edicts. He is a God who governs. God, I bless your name. And he is governing at his best when we think he's asleep.
My God.
They didn't like what I just said, so let me say it again. He is ruling, reigning at his best when it seems like my world and your world is out of control. That he is a decision maker. He issues rulings, verdicts. He is a God who decides. God, I give you praise. And the verse says he is making decisions. He will judge who? His people. God, I bless your name. He will do what?
Judge his people.
It does not say that the human judge is going to do it. It does not say that the law enforcement officer is going to do it. Because tell your neighbor you are too important to God for him to allow anybody else to do it. Y'all won't talk to your neighbor. I said, talk to your other neighbor and say, neighbor, my judgment is always in the hands of my God. He does not leave that to other people. Because I belong. You belong to God. You belong to him. And so this is personal. Are y'all with me yet? See, back in the day, you could get multiple whoopings. You could get multiple spankings, right? Your final spanking would come from your parent. But you could get one from your aunt, your neighbor. Are y'all going to tell God thank you? Right? You should see the look on the young people's faces. They're like, really? Yeah. But see, God maintains the right to handle us himself. All right? So they're not praising you, God, but that's good news. Stop saying that God has turned you over to somebody to deal with you. God will never do that. Now, God in his providence may allow what someone is doing to you to accomplish what he's after. But ultimately, he is making the decision. I said he's making the decision. So I'm praising him that he never cedes that over to Satan. God, I give you praise. You didn't hear what I just said. He doesn't cede that over to devils and demons. He is in full control. God, I bless your name. I said, he is in full control. Come here, Satan. You need to talk to me before you attempt anything with my servant Job.
Amen. Amen.
See, look at the text. Look at the text. I want you to see this now. Verse 31 says, it is a fearful thing. How many have it?
Amen.
To what? To fall where? All right. It is a what? Fearful thing to what? All right. So God says, you want to approach me carefully. How you approach me, it needs to be, the word here, fearful or reverential, with regard and respect. My God. Did y'all see this? Look what it says. It is a fearful thing to what?
Fall into the hands of a living
All
God.
right. Are y'all looking at the verse? All right. So how you see God will shape how you approach God. They didn't hear what I just said. All right. How I see God shapes how I come to God. All right. So it is a fearful thing. Did we work on this last week?
Yes.
Right? How we approach God, all right, is a reflection of how we see God. And here's the problem. It's what the verse says next. It is a fearful thing. All right, there should be some dread, some angst. All right, there should be some concern that we could fall where? All right. So based on potential punishment, the possibility of a punishment that we could not handle and would not like, God says you are to be respectful, reverential, because of the potential for falling.
Yes.
Amen.
That's all right, Pastor.
Amen.
You're preaching.
Oh,
Yes.
God, I give you praise. This is, are y'all reading this? He said, the writer said, it is a fearful thing.
It's a fearful thing.
The writer says, this is not something, once you're in it,
You can get out.
that you can get out of.
My
Preach,
Lord.
Pastor.
So just the possibility should be unnerving.
Unnerving.
Yes. Amen.
Yes, Pastor.
Amen.
Preach
Amen.
See, I was told not to play in the street.
Yes, I remember that.
But all my friends were playing in the street.
So you did the same thing.
And initially, I didn't go into the street because I never knew when my father was going to turn that corner.
Jesus.
And the thought that he could be coming up the street as I'm running the other way trying to catch the football and not see him kept me on
On God.
the step.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's all right.
Y'all miss what I just said?
Yes.
If I have no regard for my father,
Yeah.
if I am not in a place of reverential respect of my father, then the moment he pulls out, turns the corner, and leaves, headed to his office, I'm going to be in the street.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yes, you will.
So what determines whether or not I have any kind of regard, reverence, or respect for my Father. It is having been in his hands before.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
You missed what I just said.
Amen.
That I have felt his hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't like what I just said. I have been in his grasp. Are y'all with me yet? And I want you to just praise God if you have ever found yourself in his grip.
Hallelujah. Thank
I said, praise God if you have ever found yourself in his grasp. Because look what the verse says. It is a fearful thing to what? Fall into the hands of a dead God.
Living God, man.
A sleeping God.
Living God.
He's living.
Yes, he is.
And it should be unnerving
Yes, it should be.
for anybody who knows him.
Well,
Watch this. Is there anybody who has seen him with somebody else in his hand? And as you were watching that person in his hands, you were saying, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold up. I might want to rethink this. Watch this. Look at the text. Because look up. The idea here is that the hand of God, the hands of God, once you fall, look up, you have fallen on his hands. All right, so the idea here, look, the idea here is that his hand is at some point, some place. His hand can be seen at some perspective, but look what happens. You fall. Look at me. You fall where?
Yeah.
Down.
Here's the problem. Are you looking?
yes.
The hand that is at work
Yeah, it's turned down.
quickly.
Yeah. Amen.
Lord have mercy.
Amen.
The hand that is at work
Yeah.
quickly.
Turns.
And now you are trapped.
Right.
Jesus.
God, I give you praise. Did y'all hear what I just said?
Yeah.
You cannot escape.
Can't get out of it.
Mercy. The hand of God cannot be wiggled out of. There will be no escape.
None.
There is no way to get the key.
None.
There is no way to cause an explosion or tunnel your way out.
Jesus.
Once you are in God's hand, guess what? You and I are trapped.
Yeah.
And it will feel as if we are overwhelmed.
Wow.
Jesus.
It will feel as if you cannot breathe. Y'all ain't talking back to me today. Oh, God. So this is why I keep asking you to praise God.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah. My God.
This is why I keep asking you to lift your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is why I keep saying, open your mouth. This is why I keep saying, open your mouth, lift your hands, and give God praise. Because it's a fearful thing. Just the thought of not being able to move. Just the thought of feeling squeezed, overwhelmed. My God, I give you praise. I want you to do this. Look in your Bible. Go to 1 Samuel. because he is the living God. And I want you to go in 1 Samuel to chapter 4. Go to 1 Samuel chapter 4. And we'll see this in a way that is frightening. And it is frightening by design. Are y'all there? And this is important, all right? Look in 1 Samuel chapter 4. All right? And I want you to notice something. In 1 Samuel chapter 4, it says in verse 1, and the word of Samuel came to all Israel. Now Israel went out against the Philistines to battle and pitched beside Ebenezer. And the Philistines pitched in Aphek. And the Philistines put themselves in array against Israel. And when they joined battle, Israel was smitten before the Philistines, and they slew of the army in the field about 4,000 men. And when the people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, wherefore hath the Lord smitten us today before who? Now, who smote or beat or defeated them? The Philistines. Is that what the Bible says? Right? In verse 1, it mentions the Philistines to battle. The Philistines pitched. In verse 2, the Philistines put themselves in array. The Philistines, and they slew of the army. See that in verse 2? But what do the people say in verse 3? And when the people were come into the camp, the elders of Israel said, wherefore hath the Lord smitten us today before the Philistines? Is that what they said? They said, the Lord beat us. He just used them to do it. This is the elders. And watch what they say. Let us fetch what? The ark of the covenant of the Lord out of Shiloh unto us, that when it cometh among us, it may save us out of the hand of who? Now, Hebrews says it is a beautiful thing to fall into the hand of who? The Israelite elders, upon being summarily defeated by the Philistines, say, the Lord smote us. We need to go get the ark. Why? Because look at what they say. It may save us out of the hand of who? God knows. Oh my God, I give you praise. Now wait a minute. Here's what I want you to see. Look back in chapter 3. I want you to see this in 1 Samuel chapter 3. Look in verse 10. And the Lord came and stood and called as at other times. What did he say? Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered. What did he say? Speak, for thy servant what? Hear it. And the Lord said to Samuel, behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone that heareth it shall what? Tingle. What chapter are we in? What verse are we in? What does he say in verse 12? In that day, I will perform against Eli all things which I have spoken concerning his house. God knows. When I begin,
I will make.
Also.
Oh, Jesus.
y'all reading the Bible?
Yes.
I don't have no Bible readers, all right? Let's try it again. Tell me what God says in verse 12. In that day,
In that day,
I will perform
against thee,
against Eli.
all things which I have spoken concerning his house, when I begin again, also make an end.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Who is Eli? He's the priest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He belongs to God.
Right.
Yes.
Did God just say in Hebrews, I will judge
Yes.
my people?
People.
My people ought to be so nervous, so anxious, that they are concerned about the possibility of ending up in my hands. Come this way. Come this way. Come on. Come this way. God says, my greater concern is that you take me for granted. That you are not the least bit concerned I can get you.
Oh my God.
You act as if you are beyond my reach.
Preach, Pastor Craig.
You're functioning like I am dead. That I'm not living.
Oh my
Help me,
God.
somebody.
Oh God.
Oh God, I give you praise. You remember when Jesus met the woman at the well?
Yes.
And remember he asked for something to drink? And you remember he offered her living water? Y'all want to help me thank God? That is life-giving water.
Yes.
That is water that helps you to be healthy. When we talk about a living God, that translates to whatever is connected to him flourishes. God says when you are connected to me, you are alive. Life. You are alive. Life comes from me. Life comes from me. The life that only you can receive from me is the life that keeps you functioning. It is the higher life. It is the God kind of life. It is a life that does not consist in the abundance of the things that we possess. It is all about what is going on the inside. A life you cannot buy. A life that no amount of success can produce. I met Jesus. And when I met him, he that hath the Son has a life. And this is why he said, I have come that you might have life. I have a person. And he is the way, the truth, and the life.
That's all right.
God, I give you praise. High five 3 people and tell them I tapped into something.
Hallelujah. Yeah, Lord.
My God. It works at 3 a.m. like it does at 3 p.m. Tell your neighbor I tapped into something.
That's it.
I entered into something. Hallelujah. He walks with me. He talks with me. And he tells me that I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there. None other has ever known. Is anybody knowing the life that I'm talking about? Huh? He gives me a brand new life. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things have become. I'm trying. Look. I want you to see this now because it's significant what he says. All right, and this is. Go back to chapter 2. Go back to chapter 2. What is Samuel talking about? What is the Lord discussing with Samuel in chapter 3, verses 10 and 11? I want you to see it in chapter 2. In chapter 2, look in verse 12. 1 Samuel 2:12. Tell me what it says. Now the sons of Eli were sons of Belial. They knew not. They knew not. These are the priest's sons. Huh? Go to verse 22. Look at 22. Now Eli was what? Very old. And what? And heard all that his sons did under all Israel, how they lay with the women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he said unto them, why do ye such things? For I hear of your evil dealings by all this people. Nay, my sons, for it is no good report that I hear. Ye make the Lord's people to transgress. Is that dealing with his sons? No. Absolutely not. Because in the next chapter, God says to Samuel, I am going to deal with Eli's house. Look at the text. Look at the text. Look at the text. I want you to see it. All right? Right? It's important that you see this. Notice. This is. Watch this. Go back to chapter 3. Go back to chapter 3. All right? And I want you to see this. He says, verse 12. In that day I will perform 3:12. Right? What? I will perform against Eli. What? All things which I have spoken concerning what? Now when you see spoken, you need to understand that God is saying, I have made arrangements. I have appointments. Lord have mercy. Watch this. I am judging in the sense that I am deciding. I am reaching a verdict. And why do I keep asking you to praise God? Oh, God, I will give you praise. Because you're a patient God. You're long suffering. And I dare not come into your house in need of your patience, in need of your long suffering, in need of your grace, in need of your mercy, and not act like I know. Look what he says. Verse, look at it. Verse 10. Verse 10, and the Lord came and stood and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Samuel answered. He calls his name twice. Samuel says what back to God in verse 10? What does he say? Speak. That word speak means make arrangements. Look up. He says, look up. He says, Samuel says to God, he says, speak to me. Move your lips. God, move your tongue. God, say something to me. In other words, Samuel is saying, God, in the midst of Eli's wicked sons, what answer do you have for me? Come here. Why am I praising God? Because when I am in trouble, I don't go to you or people. I go to God to give me an answer. He says, come on, look at it. And the Lord said, For thy servant heareth. And the Lord said, speak. Your servant heareth. And the Lord said, speak. Your servant heareth. And the Lord said. Do you want to know?
Jesus.
Come on, look at the verse. Look at the verse. Look at the verse. Come on. Look what it says. Look what it says. And the Lord said to Samuel, verse 11, behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone that heareth it shall what? Come on. Come on. God says, when I'm done, your ears are going to vibrate. Y'all not telling God thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
He said, I'm going to rattle.
Thank you. Rattle. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah. He said, when I'm done, your ears are going to quiver. Y'all, come on, somebody. Come on. When your ears start shaking, right, it is not because the ground underneath you is shaking. Listen, look. It is because the ground inside you is in earthquake status.
Jesus.
Are y'all hearing me right now? That the Holy Ghost is the restrainer. And if the Holy Spirit does not keep my heart, my lungs, my kidneys from exploding, they will explode. I need somebody that's ever been so down that you got a migraine. Come on. Now some heads in here.
Yeah.
You know what it is to have a headache where your head is aching. If it is not for your God, it will explode. I need somebody in here that's been in a situation where your back was against the wall and you were reaching a point of coming unglued. Lord, I thank you that you maintain my life. You will perfect that. If I keep my mind stayed on you, you keep me in perfect peace. Oh,
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
I feel a holy hug. Come on, brothers, find a brother and give a brother a hug. Sisters, find a sister and give a sister a hug. Come on, I feel a holy hug. I feel a holy hug. And then tell them that hug is from God, brother to brother, sister to sister. That hug is from God.
Hallelujah.
Hug each other. Y'all won't hug each other? Y'all won't hug each other? Y'all won't hug each other? Come on, give them a hug. This is not a station identification, right? But I need you to give somebody a hug. Come on, somebody. Come on, hug somebody. Tell God thank you. Thank you. Somebody hug my brother. Come on, somebody hug my sister. Hug a brother, hug a sister. And tell them that's from God. Receive it. Receive it. Because it could be his plan in a different way. I said receive it. Because everybody in this room this morning knows we don't deserve a hug. We wanted something for her.
That's right.
For her. Come on. Yes. And this is when the room should be erupting in prayer.
Yeah.
Because you and I have been in some situations that we should not have made it out of. Come on, tell God thank you.
Thank you.
My God, I give you praise. Come on, you have thoughts. Come on, that we cannot dare discuss in this room right now. Of how you could have handled and resolved and remedied the situation. But for the grace of God, there go I. And somebody is opening their mouth. Somebody is giving God a sacrifice of praise. Let let me conclude this. I want you to just look at this now. Look at this now. I want you to see this. Look at this. This is important. All right. This is big. Wow. All right. Look verse 13. He says in verse 12. He says, when I began, I will also make an end. All right, look up. That's what God is saying. God is saying, when you see a whole piece of wood, are y'all looking? Look, are y'all looking? And when you see that piece of wood have a tear in it, if something has punctured that whole piece of wood. When you start to see that tear where apparently something has punctured it is now becoming a hole. God says, when I start tearing at you, when I start to puncture you, you can get every substance tool you want to get. When I start cutting and opening into something that was whole, you cannot stop me. The idea here is when he says, when I begin, I will also make an end. He is saying, I open something up that was closed. I create a wedge. I bore holes. I open up something that it becomes a wedge, and now it can be accessed. God, I bless your name. My God, I bless your name. God, I give you praise. Look at the text. For I had told him, verse 13, that I will judge
His house.
I will judge.
His house.
Who does God judge according to Hebrews 10 and verse 30? His people. Am I in the word? Did I show you judge in Hebrews 10:30? God knows, God knows, God knows. For I have told him. Come on, give me verse 13. Give me verse 13. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knoweth. Because what? His sons made themselves vile, and he
Shame him not. Wow.
Hallelujah.
Didn't whoop him.
Was I asking y'all to praise God a little while?
Yes.
Would this be a good place?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Glory.
Would this be another good spot? Would this be another good spot? Here's what bothers me about this verse. Give me the first clause. Stop. Give it to me again. Stop. Give it to me again. What does that tell you?
God speaking.
What does it tell you?
And he's already told him.
Speaking.
Somebody said repeat. Somebody said
Speaking to him.
repeating it to him. Somebody said this is not. Well, somebody said something back here.
This is not the first time.
This is not the first time. Now come here, come here, come here, come here. Why was I asking you to praise God? Because you said, no, you're an anonymous, and you're negative, and you're a pessimist, and everything's a warning with you. Here's what I want you and me to understand. When God has told you something once, and nothing happened, and he told you a second time, and nothing happened, you on borrowed time. Because he is under no obligation. He says, Samuel, tell Eli that this is not the first time we discuss him not handling his son.
Lord have mercy.
Because when you make your child an idol, then you cannot put your hands on them. So God has to put his hands on them.
All right.
And Eli will have to live with the fact
Yes.
that his sons are dead.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah.
Look at the text. Look at the text. He says they made themselves vile. That's our English word trifling. Look it up. You ain't got to take my word for it. Look it up. It's Hebrew for trifling. It's Hebrew for light. What do you say? He took the seriousness of what his sons were doing. And when he was done, what they were doing was no longer serious. When I don't deal with my child, when we don't deal with our children, we make what they are doing light.
Yes.
And God is looking to you and me to make sure that our children understand it's not a joke. This is not a game. Preach, Pastor. Keep preaching. Keep Holy Ghost. Holy Ghost. Holy Ghost. Come on, somebody in here right now. Look what he says. He says, for I have told him that I will judge his house. Y'all want to tell God that? Verse 14, and therefore I have sworn, under the house of Eli, that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be purged with sacrifice nor offering for what? He says, now don't bring me your offering in an attempt to get me to agree with you. He said, your offering is not going to help you here. Come on, so that's why God will say at numerous points, sacrifice and offering. I don't want that. He said, I want the sacrifice of God is a broken and a contrite heart. He said, bring me the sacrifice of repentance. Come on, somebody. God, I give your name praise. I want y'all to see this now. Look at this. And this is going to mess us up. Just tell me what verse 19 says. What does verse 19 say? And Samuel grew. Go ahead. And overheard him. Go ahead. And they let none of his words fall to the... No matter what he said, God said, I am not going to let it fail. That when the prophet opens his mouth, God says, I get behind what he says to make it succeed. Come here. Look at the text. I want y'all to see this now. This is good. All right, now, here's what I want to do. Did we see the hand of our enemies in chapter 4, verse 3? Yes. The end of chapter 4, verse 3. Did we see the hand of our what? Enemies. All right, so what happens? Israel, they retrieve the ark. So they took God for granted such that it wasn't a fearful thing for them to fall into his hand because they dared to go into a battle without the ark. When the ark was what caused them to cross the Jordan. When the ark is what they walked around the walls of Jericho with, and the walls of Jericho fell. But now they've gone into a fight without the ark. When they lose the fight, they say God smote them, beat them, the hand of their enemy is against them, and what do they now go get? The ark. And guess what happens? They lose with the ark. And the enemy, the Philistines, takes the ark that they went with because the ark is just a symbol. They said if we have our good luck charm, I can have it, I can leave it, I can take it, I can leave it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Today I will, tomorrow I won't. And they had it, and they still lost. Now the Philistines take the ark that they didn't appreciate because they took the God of the ark for granted. Because it wasn't a fearful thing. And now the Philistines take that same ark, put it in their God's temple. And when they wake up in the morning, their God, Dagon, is on the floor. The next day after they set Dagon back up, he's back on the floor again, except this time it's just his stump left. No head, no arms. Y'all gonna tell God thank you? I would never run with something I got to prop up. I would never follow something that I've got to set up, pick up. I've got to put it back together again. And that's what you're running with when you run with anything other than God. Because he's the true and living God. I said he's the living God. He's the only wise God. Come on, he's our only Savior. Amen, somebody. And so what happened? What happened? I want y'all to see this, man. All right? So here's what I want you to do. Come in your Bible to chapter 5. Chapter 5. I just want you to see it. All right? All right, chapter 5. 1 Samuel 5. And in verse 1, it says, and the Philistines took the ark of God. See it? And brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. Right? And when the Philistines, verse 2, took the ark of God, they brought it where? Into the house of David and set it by David. All right? Now go ahead to verse 6. All right? All right, now go to stay in verse 2. All right, this is what I want you to do. Verse 2, verse 3. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, did I just tell you this? And behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth. Here's what I want you to see. Before the ark of the Lord. They took Dagon and they set him in his place again. Verse 4. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord, and the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were what? Cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Now look this way. Each time they find Dagon, he's not just on the floor. It's where he is. When God knocks him off, come on, tell God thank you. Sometime in the night. God, I give you praise. Y'all gonna tell God thank you. At some point in the night, Dagon took a spill. Come on, somebody. Nobody was allowed in that temple. Come on, somebody. And the Philistines knew that nobody was permitted entrance into that temple. And yet, when they come in the next morning, their God is on the ground. But it is where he lands. Come on, look this way. He lands before. Come on, look at the text. Look at the text. Look at the text. Verse 3. Notice it says, and when they of Ashdod arose early on the morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before what? The ark of the Lord. Before what? Go to verse 4. When they arose early on the morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground. Before what? So all night, God had Dagon worshiping him. In his own temple. If you think you're running with somebody who's ever going to be beat, you are sadly mistaken. He will whoop another God in that God's house, in that God's temple. He will knock him off and make him worship him. Because he is God. Oh! Every God, tell your neighbor it's coming now. Every God will be brought down. Every knee. Every knee. Every tongue. That'll start in eternity. That'll start at the great white throne. Every knee is bowing right here. Because that ark is representative of a good God who lives, who is alive, who is giving life among his people. He is not apart from his people. He is not at a distance from his people, but he is in the midst.
Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Let's see. Tell me. Verse 5 says, therefore neither the priests of Dagon, nor any that come into Dagon's house, tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod under the staff. Watch this. Your God shut down the enemy's God. Shut him down. Shut his temple down. And his own people don't even come to see him. When God was done You know how you rush to get to a store and you get there and it closed? And as you're running up the street, you're looking at the store to see if the sign is flipped around. Does it say open or closed? Come on, somebody. Every time somebody came to take the Dagon's temple, the sign would say closed. Because when God left Dagon's house, he turned the sign around. And a temple that was open, God said is now. And I promise you, if you pay attention to the news in this coming week, you're going to see another God that was open for business has now been shut down. And when God leaves God's temple, come on, Simone G, he makes sure to flip the sign and tell them it's out of business. Y'all ain't going to help me praise God. My God is alive, and he's doing what? And this morning, I'm going to give him praise because he's in charge. He's in the business of putting other gods out of business. But this is what I want you to see. Tell me what the next verse says. Tell me what verse 6 says. But the hand of the Lord. I don't know how y'all can read any further. Oh, God, I give you praise. Oh, God, I give you praise. The priests of Dagon are not treading on the threshold of Dagon's temple anymore. And that's important. But I want you to see what the text says. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them of Ashdod. And he destroyed them and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. Did y'all read the Bible like I just read it? God says they were struck with tumors. This is the first bubonic plague. Y'all won't tell God thank you. Listen. When the Philistines run into Dagon's temple with the ark, they have run in with the God who has taken the bench, who is now on his throne, to bring him into Ashdod, to take him into your temple, the temple of Dagon, is to demand that he deal with everything that is against him. So the error that the enemy makes is seeing how loosely the people of God treat their God, and thinking you can take him wherever you want. When my God leaves the temple of Dagon, turns the sign around to say closed for business, he then breaks out on the people. Because if you want him in your city, you better be prepared for him to be him. You had to have me. Now you're sick. You're sick. Because I don't belong to you. You don't belong to me. Preach, Pastor. Oh my. Look at the text. The Bible says he smote them with emeralds. Is that what the Bible says? They have tumors. Break that out. Are y'all with me yet? Why? Verse 6 says, but the hand of the Lord was what? Heavy upon them of Ashdod. Did I say that when you get in God's hands, there is no escape? I don't have a Bible student. Did I say that when he puts on the squeeze, there is no key? There is no wiggling out of his hand. Are y'all with me? Look at the verse. But the hand of the Lord was heavy upon them. Are y'all with me? Go to verse 7. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, tell me what they said. They said, the ark of the God of Israel shall not abide with us. For his hand, for his hand. They ain't jumping up and shouting. God was taking me through the word.
Right.
And I want to sit here and be quiet. His hand is sore upon us. Give it to me. And upon Dagon, our God. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them and said, what shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto Gath. And they carried the ark of the God of Israel about thither. And it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of the Lord was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great. And they had emeralds in there. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Come on. God, help me in this house. God says, keep having sex outside of the boundaries of marriage.
That's right. My God, my God.
And I will strike you
Jesus.
where only you and you alone know that it's me.
Amen. Amen.
Sex is for married people.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
That's all right.
Amen.
Try it again. Sex is for married people.
Amen.
God said, look at the text. Look at the text. Therefore they sent the ark of God to where? They didn't want it. Come on, in Ashdod. Are y'all going to tell God thank you? They didn't want it in Gath. So where did they get rid of it and send it to? They sent it to Ekron. And it came to pass as the ark of God came to Ekron, and the Ekronites cried out, saying, they have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to what? Slay us. It is a fearful thing.
You get in the hands of the Lord.
Come on, I need somebody to read the Bible. I need somebody to read the Bible. And it came to pass, verse 10, as the ark of God came to Ekron, as the ark of God came to Ekron, as the ark was on the way to Ekron. Tell me what the Ekronites were saying. Don't bring that box here. It didn't say the ark arrived. It said it was on the way. If I go to a church where something I see in one passage is poured out in another, it is a fearful thing. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
We've got to get the ark back where it belongs. Because the tabernacle of David must be restored. And it's not. Before God can expedite our productivity. And what we're seeing is the journey of this box.
Right.
And what we're developing is a reverential awe for the God for whom this box represents. That if you don't know him,
Amen.
and you get a hold of him,
Yes.
in reality, he has gotten a hold of you. Do not deceive yourself, United States. Do not deceive yourself, New Jersey. Do not deceive yourself, Glassboro. If you get a hold of God and don't know him, he I turn around, they telling me to lift my hands and give God praise. Because he's worthy. I said he's worthy. I said he's worthy. genuine praise. Not a coerced praise, not a forced praise, not a mandated praise, but a praise out of my love for him and what he didn't do to me, what he didn't give me, that I deserve, that he could have, but didn't. And Lord, I want you to know, I'm afraid of you.
Glory. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
As
Yes,
the
Lord.
ark
Yes, Lord.
came to Ekron, the Ekronites cried out, saying, they have brought about the ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us, and what? So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, time to have a meeting, and said, send away the ark of God of Israel, and let it go again where? To his what? That it slay us not, and our people, for there was a deadly destruction throughout all the city.
Yes.
The hand of God was very heavy there.
Wow.
And the men that died not, Lord have mercy, were smitten with the emerods, the tumors, and the cry
Wow.
of that city went up to heaven. I got to leave y'all. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Are y'all going to help me praise God?
Hallelujah.
I said, are y'all going to help me glorify God?
Hallelujah.
I said, tell God thank you. Tell God thank you. I said, open your mouth and give God praise. Because if you're in your right mind this morning, oh God, I give you praise. Listen, listen. Tell me what that verse says. The cry. Tell me the cry. What does it say?
Went up to heaven.
Went where?
Went up there.
Where did the cry go? The cry of who?
Of the city.
The cry of the city went up to heaven. Now listen to me good. The Ekronites saw the ark headed their way.
Yes. They didn't want it.
And they knew the arrival of that ark
Yes.
in Ekron would be equivalent, listen, to the arrival of that ark in Gath.
Yes.
Like it was equivalent to Ashdod. Come here, come here, come here. If the ark produces certain results in Ashdod,
Yes. Yes.
it must
Must.
produce the same results
In Akron.
wherever it goes
Yes.
until it is where it belongs. Why? Because God is determined to make sure everybody treats him right. When he's working on his own, he wants those that don't know him.
Amen. Amen.
When he's working on those who don't know him, he wants his.
Jesus. My Lord.
It happened in Ashdod. And it doesn't happen in Gath. Then this is not the living God.
Wow.
Amen.
It's only the living God. It's what happens one place. Happens every place. The same. And the Ekronites said, y'all gonna tell God thank you? We see it coming. And we know what it did. We know what the God of it did.
Yes.
And we don't need it to get it.
Yeah.
Because we know it's a fearful thing
Yeah.
to fall.
Into the hands of a living God.
And the text says the whole city, whoever didn't die was sick. and about to die.
Yes, they were.
I need you to lift your hands. Come on, tell God thank you.
Thank you.
Whatever was not dead
Yeah.
was sick.
Yes.
Sick.
Yeah.
So sick. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. How sick, how dead were they? That the people who were not yet sick, the people who were not yet dead, y'all ain't gonna tell God thank you. Come on, the people who were still healthy, who were still alive, looked at the people dropping dead, looked at the people coming down with the sickness, and they saw them, and they started crying until they cried so intensely.
Yes, yes.
This one, no. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. That's right.
It was clean.
So, when your cry reaches heaven,
Yeah. Fine now.
they are saying that this box
Yeah.
on earth
Yes.
represents something in another place.
That's right. That's right. He's Pastor.
And that this box is near us and it's not where it belongs. If we don't want what happened to everybody else to happen to us, we better do what you do when you know what this box represents. They're crying. Reach to heaven. Your cry, my cry, is not a cry if it doesn't penetrate, pierce. And I want you to just tell your neighbor, you got to cry in you.
You gotta cry in you.
Yeah, Lord.
You waiting on somebody. You're waiting on somebody. But it is a fearful thing to fall into the hand of the living God. And if the hand of God is on your enemy, you need to lift your hand and start worshiping God. I'm through with it. I can't even get in my stuff yet. Come on, I need somebody to open their mouth and start praising God like you know. Come on, start glorifying God like He's worthy. Come on, open your mouth and hear God praise. If the hand of God is heavy on your enemy for mishandling him, for thinking that they could run off with him, thinking that they could do with him whatever they wanted to do. And you see that God is dealing with a nation. God is dealing with a reason because they think that they can order him. They think that they can place him. They think that they can run off with him. They think that they can have him when they want him, not have him when they listen to me. Listen to me. Come here, look at me. Look at me. Do you know their worst mistake? Their worst mistake was to take the ark in the temple of Dagon. To dare put my God in a room of another God. It's an insult.
Yes, it is.
That God must check. You put me with something else. And what you put me with doesn't even exist. You will know who I am. You will be clear on who I am. You will know better than to ever situate me in the temple of another God. Don't put me on the same level. What about your worship? Says he is unique. He is. Come on, somebody. God all by himself. I need somebody to shout, he's my Savior and my Lord. I need somebody else to say he's a bridge. Come on, somebody. And you gonna put him where? You gonna put him among who? You gonna leave him where? You gonna situate him with who? You gonna put him, you gonna discuss him? I need somebody to lift their hands and start praising him. Who is worthy of all of somebody to lift their hands and start giving God glory. Come on, let everything you have, brother. Come on, make a joyful noise. Give him a sacrifice of praise. Because God, I fear you. God, I fear you. I don't want death. I don't want disease breaking out. God, I see what you're doing to those who don't know you. But I've read your word and I know that you also deal with your own. That if judgment has begun at God's house, then if you don't know him and you're outside of his house, you can know that he's coming. So it doesn't matter to me this morning whether he's dealing with his own or he's dealing with those who don't know him. It doesn't matter. It's the same God. And I know him this morning. I know him this morning. Do you know him this morning? Do you know him? I said, do you know him? Well, then act like you do. Act like you do. Act like you do. Thank you. Act like you do. Act like you do. If you know him this morning, act like you do. Come on, act like you know him. I said, act like you know him. I know him this morning. I know him this afternoon.
Yeah.
I know him. He's a living God.
Yeah, Lord.
He said, prove to me that I'm in his hand. Jesus said, we are in his hand. And he said, we and him are in the Father's hand. And no man can pluck us out. In salvation, guess what? God picks you and me up. Are y'all with me yet? And there's never a time, never a day where he puts you down. You're in his hands right now. I need somebody to tell him thank you.
Thank you.
I don't care what you're confronting, what you're dealing with. I said you're in his hands right now. And in salvation, when he picks you up, he never again puts you down. And like the potter in the clay, in his hands, he's molding you and shaping you into what he wants you and me to become. And God, I love you today. I love you today. Come on, God, I love you today. You're redeemed and you're in this room. And you've been through a thing or two. You should have lost your mind. I want you to open your mouth and give him glory. Give him honor, give him praise. Give him thanksgiving. Because I'm in his hand. The only question is, what is he doing with me? And he says, if I have to, I'll tear you down. But the good news is, if he has to do that, he's always going to build us back.
Hallelujah.
If we got to unlearn some stuff, the good news is once we're done unlearning whatever it is we learn, then he's going to teach us what he wants us to know. And so, God, I give you praise now. I give you praise that your hand is on me.
Yes, Lord.
Your hand is on me.
Thank you, Lord.
And your hand is on me
Thank you, Lord.
for construction
Yes.
and not destruction.
Yes, Lord. Thank
And I give you praise. Hallelujah. I give you praise. I give you praise. I give you praise that your hand is on me, not for interrogation, but instruction. I give you praise. I give you praise that your hand is on me. You've not placed your hand on me to interrogate me, but you want to instruct me.
Thank you, Lord.
And so, God, I welcome, I receive,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
open.
yes.
Come on, talk to him now.
Yes.
I welcome, I receive, and I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm open, I'm open. I'm open to what it is you want to say and what you want to do in my life right
Yes,
now.
Lord.
And I want somebody to just begin clapping your hands and giving God praise. God loves you. Jesus died for you. All you have to do is call on his name. He'll save you. He'll save you. He'll rescue you. He'll deliver you. He'll put his spirit in you that he can guide you and direct you
Yes, yes.
And God, we give you praise for everyone who sang yes to you.
Yes, Lord. Yes, yes.
Everyone who sang yes to you.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
Send us your prayer requests, your praise reports. Go to cometomount.org. You can give online at cometomount.org. Send us your praise reports. Send us your prayer requests. Let us know you just gave your life to Jesus.
Yes.
All that are watching, while we're praising God, the hand of the Lord is on you. And that pressure you've been sensing, that squeezing you've been sensing, is His holy, loving hand. Feel like you're suffocating. Feel like you're overwhelmed. That's the hand of God. And God, we love you now. Come on, open your mouth and tell God how much you love Him. God, I love you. I love you. God, I love you. Come on, tell Him how much you love Him. Tell Him how much you love Him. Come on, God, I love you today. Everybody in the room, God, I love you today.
Yes, Lord.
God, I love you today. God, I love you today. God, I love you today. I love you today. I love